Hey everybody, I'm Tim Mackey. I'm with the Bible Project, and today's verse of the day is Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, which reads, "For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God has prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." This is a really cool line that culminates a really beautiful progression of thought that Paul has been working out in Ephesians chapter 2. The line of thought began by describing humans who choose autonomy from God as being physically alive, but dead in relationship to God. He calls it being dead in sins and transgressions. It's like being a zombie. You're alive, but you're not fully alive in the way that you're made to be. And so he talks about the transition from that state of being the living dead into being recreated into new kinds of humans because of what Jesus did in his life, his death, and his resurrection into new creation life. And so anybody who grabs on to Jesus in trust and will follow him will find that the new creation life that rose Jesus from the dead is exactly the new creation life that God is working in our own hearts and minds. That's what Paul means when he says we've been created in Christ Jesus. And more than that, he says we are God's workmanship. This is really cool. The Greek word that Paul uses is the Greek word poema. It's where we get our word poem. And so what he's describing is how humans that are being recreated in Jesus are like God's works of verbal artistry, like a poem. It's a piece of craftsmanship. But it's not just God's work, it's also our work. Because he says we are God's workmanship created in Christ Jesus for good works. So think of it something like how a flashlight works, where a flashlight doesn't power itself, its power comes from elsewhere, but it is in the power of a flashlight to choose whether or not the light will shine based on whether the button gets switched. And so in the same way, we don't create ourselves in Christ Jesus. That's something God does. But we are in control of whether that new creation life will flow out towards others in good works. And that is our work to do. And so the new creation work is a work of partnership between God and his people. So let's go into our days and ask ourselves, what is the new creation work that God has given me to do that will be God's work of art in the world today?